Hey guys, my name's Martin. I'm a happy homeowner thanks to a program called NACA. Have you ever seen something that sounded way too good to be true, but then it turned out to be real? Well, that's exactly the experience that my wife and I had when we learned about a program called NACA. NACA is the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. They are a nonprofit program that helps people to buy homes with no down payment, no closing costs, no PMI or private mortgage insurance, no credit score requirements, and below market fixed interest rates. A little bit about our story. In 2020, we closed on our four-bedroom home at $315,000, and we got locked in at an amazing 1.75% fixed interest rate, thanks to NACA's home interest buy down option. Our home is in a nice, family friendly neighborhood and a location with high quality schools. At the time of beginning our home buying process, my wife and I made a decision that my wife would stop working after the birth of our first child. Yet we still qualified for our mortgage based on my single income, which was around $65,000 at that time. Without NACA, it simply would have been impossible for us to afford a home like this. And at that time, I recall looking at homes and thinking maybe we could possibly get into something that's 215 to $250,000, but that really wasn't going to put us in the type of homes or the type of neighborhoods that we really were hoping for our family. So through this video, I'm hoping that I can give a little bit of hope for anybody that's in a similar situation that we were in, where we just felt like we weren't going to be able to get a home, or we just weren't going to be able to get a home that we wanted. So I want to go into discussing some of the benefits of this program, which I think make it pretty awesome. So, the first thing that really stood out to me was the below market fixed interest rate, which is a standard for everybody in the program, but there's also an additional option for home buyers to pay down or buy down their interest rate. And the way that this works is that NACA allows you to take 1% of whatever the mortgage cost is. And for each 1% of the mortgage cost that you pay upfront, you can buy down 1/6 of a percentage point on your interest rate. And this can amount to considerable savings over the life of a 30-year loan. So, this is a really great way to create more affordable mortgage payments. And in the end, we are paying less for our four-bedroom home on a monthly basis than we paid for our apartment at the time that we were purchasing our home. The second thing is that it's a very accessible program because it doesn't look at your credit score, but instead it does what's called character based lending. So they're looking not so much at something like a credit score, which may not tell the full story of your fiscal responsibility and how good you are at paying things on time, but they're actually taking a deeper look into your situation to look at your credit worthiness. Have you been making late payments? Are you responsible in your financial life? And do you have stable income? And based on that, you can become qualified for a mortgage through the program. And so they're very much diving into your finances and making sure that your income and your expenses are going to allow you to afford a home, as opposed to maybe in the past where some mortgage companies would loan or lend money to people and get them into mortgages that they really couldn't afford. And so what happens then is that people uh, maybe are unable to make their mortgage payments and that home gets foreclosed or defaulted on, and they end up back in the same situation they were in the beginning, except that they probably paid a lot of money to get into that home in the first place. So NACA has a very low foreclosure rate. I think it's 0.00001%, which is incredibly low. And the reason for that is that uh, they do take a deeper look at your finances than uh, another program or another mortgage company that might give you an approval. But trust me, guys, the benefit is there. Um, It is a wonderful program. And that leads me to the last point, which is that the NACA program has a really supportive community. Anybody that's been through the NACA program has probably had their life changed by the NACA program. If they've made it through successfully to the point of home ownership, then you really can't find people that buy in and believe more in a program. So when you're as part of the NACA community, there's a lot of people that are there to help you. And even just if you look on YouTube, you'll find lots of people sharing their testimonials and trying to encourage you to take that step and go through the NACA process. So those are some of the pros of NACA. And although I don't think that there are many cons to the NACA program, what I would say is more so that maybe the NACA program isn't for everybody, and that is fine. If it's not for everybody, it just depends on your situation. But the first con, which is something I've been touching on, is it's quite a process. So the process can be difficult, it can be tough. Uh, they are going to require you to upload and provide a lot of documentation throughout the process leading up to you getting approved and then being able to actually find and close on your home. So you're constantly having to upload financial statements, tax information, income information, providing letters of explanation to make sure that your NACA counselor knows exactly what's going on in your financial world. So when you're going through NACA, you don't want to have any new debts. You don't want to do anything that's really going to shake up your financial life. You just want to kind of have stability and have transparent, explainable income. And so it can be pretty difficult for some folks especially if you are not technology savvy. You might have difficulty with getting into the portal and uploading documents that you need to upload. Or if you just kind of have a messy financial life, it's going to be a little difficult for you to provide all the information that they want. The second thing is the closing process on the home. A lot of people I've seen, kind of complain or get frustrated through this process because primarily NACA is very thorough at this stage. They want to make sure that if there are any issues that come up in the inspection during the closing process, that those issues are dealt with either by the seller taking care of them. So if there's like a leaky roof or any kind of issues within the home, they want someone taking care of that or giving you money to take care of it. They don't want you to get into your home and have to all of a sudden have a $20,000 expense on your hands because that's the kind of stuff that can make home ownership unaffordable for folks and lead them down the path of maybe losing their home. So, in the end, this is a good thing for you as the buyer, but it can be frustrating because it can make the process a little bit slower. And it can be frustrating as well for the sellers. And so it's just one of those things that comes with the overall goal of the program, which is to make sure that people get into a home that they can afford and that you are not going to lose your home once you get in. The last thing is if you're someone that's needs a quick turnaround, that you're looking for a home yesterday, this is not the program for you. It is going to take time from the very first step, which is attending a workshop, through to the actual process of closing on the home. This is a long process that can take anywhere from, I've heard as quick as 3 months all the way up to, a year. Some people are in the program for a long time. So it's not a quick program, and I wouldn't advise it for anyone if they're under some kind of a time constraint. But if you are willing to take the time and have patience and determination, then it's a great program for you. So I've talked enough about the program. I'm a big believer in the program, and I spread it like the gospel to anybody that's interested in or looking for a home. But how do you get started? So the first step is that you need to register for a NACA homebuyer workshop. And you can do this by going to NACA.com and you can find the link to register for those homebuyer workshops. It's going to give you an option for either an in-person or an online workshop. If you are able to and you're close enough for a home buyer workshop in person, I highly recommend that because then you can actually connect with the NACA counselors and maybe even the NACA realtor and other people that maybe have gone through the program or are starting the same journey as you. So it's a great opportunity to connect with people and get to know the people who might be your counselor when you go through the program. It's also a great opportunity to ask questions. So I definitely recommend preparing and reading the homebuyer workbook in advance. I'll show you that in a few moments. But yeah, go to the website, register for a workshop. If it's in person, you can search within a certain mile radius. And if it's online, then of course you have the convenience of taking it at home. And at the end of that workshop, they're going to give you a code, and that code will allow you to go onto the NACA website and create a NACA member ID. And that member ID is going to be something that you remember for probably your whole life. I know I've remembered my NACA ID, and it's what you need in order to log into their system and be able to upload documents. And pretty much it becomes like your name when you're going through the program. So if you're talking with someone and you're trying to explain something or get some assistance from NACA, you need to provide them with your member ID, and that allows them to go in and look at your file and your information and really assist you better than if they don't know anything about you. So once you have that member ID, the next step is going to be scheduling an intake with your NACA counselor. And this can range in terms of how many days or weeks from your workshop it takes to have that meeting. But the main thing here is that you're going to need to be prepared for that meeting. There is homework. You do have to upload all of your documentation that's required for the workshop. And that information has gone over in the home buyer workshop. They let you know exactly what to upload, but it's things like your tax returns, your income statements, your pay stubs, anything like that, bank statements. And so you need to upload those documents so that in your NACA counseling meeting, in your first intake, your counselor can be prepared and ready to ask you the questions that they need to ask in order to help you along in the next steps. So those are the first two steps. And again, my suggestion for everybody before the workshop to review the homebuyer workbook and come prepared with questions. The NACA process rewards people who are prepared, who work hard, and are organized. And so be proactive, read the homebuyer workbook, um, try to come with questions, and just show that you care because the NACA counselor is going to work hard for you, but you have to work the hardest. They're not going to be able to do everything for you or hold your hand too much because as a nonprofit, and they'll say this themselves, they're understaffed and they have high caseloads because a lot of people want to go through this program. So the more that you can do to make these meetings and sessions with your counselor productive, that's really going to help you along the process, and it's going to go a long way. So, what I want to say just to wrap up is for anybody who feels like home ownership is out of reach and that it's impossible for you, it could be possible. And the best bet that I can think of is to look into NACA, to get started, take the first step, find out more about this program, and find out more about your own uh, preparedness to be a homeowner. Um, One of the great things is that even if you aren't ready right now, the NACA program is going to enlighten you and educate you about the areas in your life that need to be fixed and corrected. And they'll give you actually a correction plan uh, to help you with getting to the point where you could be qualified for a mortgage through their program. And ultimately, NACA is just trying to help people to be financially responsible, but they're also trying to prevent people from getting into predatory type of lending situations where people are getting a home that really they can't afford, and the banks probably know this. And the person that loses out the most once that home is defaulted on is you as the home buyer. So we want to encourage you to go to the NACA.com to sign up for a workshop, take that first step. And in addition, I also have started a website which just has some tips and information, um, and just reinforces what the NACA mission is and some of the things that I think are important for people to know about the program. And lastly, through my website, you can reach out to me, contact me if you would like some support, some additional mentorship above and beyond the assistance that you get from the NACA program and their counselors. So, with all that said, I just really hope that this has been encouraging for anybody, that it's opened maybe your mind to the possibility of home ownership. And I really wish you well. God bless you. And I'm praying for everybody that uh, is in a situation where you wish that you could own a home. I pray for you that you will, that NACA can help you along the way, and if not, that you find a way to get where you're trying to go. So, thank you very much, and goodbye.